But what Spears was asking, well, Spears, why don't you ask him?
No, so my question was, and I said I would love to hear Pelton talk about this, is like, how should we generationally view stats when you see, respectfully, my guy Draymond Green, pass Jordan on threes, or LeBron's about to pass Kareem on points when 3-point shooting was not a part of that era. I actually will be more impressed with LeBron's probably eventual passing of Kareem and field goals made than the points part. But like, how do you look at a Draymond passing Jordan, and how do you look at the Kareem record, and like, how should it be viewed statistically?
Yeah, to
from
me,
experts like yourself.
To me, I think it's the 3-pointers themselves is an interesting question, because obviously, it's less probably with someone like Jordan. It's more like if you go back to the players who were considered the 3-point shooters of his day, like, Del Curry is a good example, because we see what his sons have been able to do in a much more prolific 3-point era. And you're like, he averaged like 1 3 a game. And now you've got guys who are non-shooters that average much more than that. So that I think is more challenging. But, I think this comes up with all sorts of things. Like, we talked about the number of 30-point scorers the last time I was on the small sample size pod, and, general efficiency being up. And I think you have to look at it all relative to kind of the standard of the league at the time. And, so it doesn't necessarily mean the same thing to score 25 points in a league where the average is 115 a night as it did to do it in 2000 when the average was 100 a night. And that's why, I think if you look at the advanced statistics, it's usually denominated in terms of wins, wins added, wins above replacement player, like my metric. And that's going to be a constant. Like, that changes, might vary based on the length of the schedule and the number of teams, but it doesn't matter how many points per game there are to wins. Or the historical metric that I came up with is called championships added. And the idea is that, look, it doesn't matter, again, what the stats are. There's always only one championship to add. So that's kind of what you use as your North Star in those discussions more than anything else. Now, I do think one thing that sometimes gets forgotten is what offense is like today, is high scoring as it is actually, in some ways, it wasn't efficient like this, but is more similar to the way that the game was played in the 60s and early 70s. And it was really kind of when a lot of us were coming into the league in the 90s and the 2000s that, that's when scoring really bottomed out, because of the way that defenses had evolved and the rules were at that point. So, you mentioned Kareem. One of the interesting things that I went to go look up, you look at seasons with 20 plus points per game and a true shooting percentage of at least 600 without a 3-point line. Kareem has the most of those of anybody. I guess we could do this as a trivia question as well. He's got 11. Number 2 is a player who came up, I think, in the trivia section last week, who you would probably never think of as who has the second most, number 2 is KD. Number 3 is someone you would never think of in this list, is most 20 plus points per game seasons with at least a 600 true shooting percentage.
Hit me.
From the 1980s.
Benoit Benjamin.
No, Adrian Dantley.
This is the second week in a row Adrian Dantley.
That's what I said. Yeah, that's why I thought that flew my.
So Spears,
he's got 9, and then Harden, LeBron, and Steph each have 8. So Adrian Dantley's still ahead of them. Kareem is still ahead of them. KD will likely tie him this season.
So Spears, you just mentioned, I'd never thought about this field goal. I just looked it up. As of right now, LeBron has a game against the Cavs tonight. Kareem has 2,100 more, 2,100 more field goals than LeBron does. And he only took right now, he's only taking about 1,000 more shots. I don't think LeBron averages, right now, he's averaging 10 field goals a game. I don't think it's going to go up that much. So he would need 200 plus games if he doesn't have any fall off.
Would you agree with me that that's the more impressive record?
I've never thought about it. I mean, so Kareem shot 56% in his career.
Yeah.
LeBron is at 51, just under 51, 50.4, which is really good.
LeBron fans would say, well, LeBron's shots are more difficult than Kareem's.
Well,
obviously.
yeah, I mean, they're scored differently, and
Yeah.
I mean, they're very, very different players. I mean, LeBron
Yeah.
just passed Magic in career assists.
Yeah. But that field goals record is that's a tough one, boy.
Wow. I mean, he would need 3 more years of playing 80 games.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I'm not
Well, not 80. He would need 3 more years of playing.
Strongly respect
70.
him becoming the all-time leading scorer, but that field goal record, that's to be the golden one right there. If you could get that, if you could pass Kareem and field goals made, woo, that's rolling.
Well, he's already actually, it's a weird. This record is going to be so weirdly received because so much of the modern era, people just care about the playoff performance. And as much as this record is a testament to prolonged and consistent greatness and so many things you have to go through mentally, physically, it's a regular season record.
Yeah.
So, but man, I did not realize he was that many
field goals.
God, that skyhook, man.
And it's worth noting LeBron is number 2 on that list. Like he's already passed Karl Malone. Yeah. Like that's how far Kareem is ahead of everybody in NBA history in that one.
Goes back to what I said. We got to give Kareem more respect. Like he's never in the GOAT conversation, which I don't understand. But I mean,
LeBron already has about 1,000, a little more than 1,000 more free throws than Kareem took. So,
yeah, that was one thing about the skyhook is it didn't necessarily result in
it's hard to foul
as often as the other.
Grab him around his waist. Yeah.
I got to see Kareem play in person a couple times, and that thing was so pretty, boy. That skyhook was so pretty.
It was elegant. It was elegant. I loved the Showtime series. I can't remember what it was called on HBO. I know that it was
I stopped watching it because I read the Showtime book, and then
I get it. I get it.
Like when I saw, respectfully to Norm Nixon, you're not beating Magic badly in a one-on-one game at a party, man. Like, I
get it. I'm not, and for the people who were obviously Jerry West is furious.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Pat Riley, doesn't like him sort of being presented at times like sort of bumbling.
Spencer Haywood talked to me like it was all true. He's loving this thing.
I know. I saw.
Come on, Spencer.
I mean, I was surprised. Like, obviously, some of the specific scenes involving Spencer is that scene at Donald Sterling's white party were invented. But I was kind of surprised. I read the book after I had finished the series, and I was surprised how much of it was straight from the book because I hadn't read it in 8-9 years.
I actually thought the book was so good, like you didn't have to really change anything, but.
I did agree with that. Yeah.
Winning time, not Showtime. Winning time.
Yeah.
But look, I enjoy we just had Ramona Shelburne on a few weeks ago, and she's her podcast on the Sterling affair is being made into a mini series, and she hasn't told me all the plot points because she's kept secret on that, but there are going to be things that are just based on a true story. They're going to make them more interesting or change the plot points to make it. But I loved it. And I mean, Kareem, I think Kareem criticized it. He's pretty upset with the way they're presenting him, but I don't think it hurt.
Didn't like it.
Yeah. Well, also they had their own documentary that was coming out that, if you're a Lakers fan, you probably loved, but was nowhere near as popular as Winning Time. So, I get it. I don't play it, but I don't think it's like, I thought it made Jerry Buss look awesome, and it didn't make him look like he was infallible. It showed his vulnerabilities, but it also showed his vision.
Well, there's more coming. There's more spoofs coming off.
Well, Jeannie, it was funny. Jeannie Jeannie didn't talk much about it, but when she did talk about it one time, she referenced one scene where she did think it was accurate. So, but anyway, I enjoyed watching the Kareem part in that show, regardless of how much it was based on a bit of a caricature. But part of the reason why Kareem isn't sort of more involved in basketball is that he can kind of be difficult at times. He's been difficult at times, and not everybody is been anxious. I remember at one time he really wanted to coach more, and it just didn't work out. And people were like, well, I don't know if he's suited to be a coach. But anyway, those stats are remarkable. So
I was
all right.
Real quick, here's my last story time. I'm sorry.
Oh no, please. We'll make time.
I got was at a San Jose State event, and Kareem, Jim Brown, and Dr. Harry Edwards were like sitting in a corner talking. I was on like in this panel group with them, and I was too intimidated to go say hi. Like I was like, that's just too powerful.
You're not an intimidatable guy, Spears.
It says something for sure.
They were at this restaurant in San Jose at the Fairmont Hotel, and they were just holding court, and I just stayed away, man. And it said stay away, but I just wanted to ear hustle. You know what I mean? I'm sure that conversation was incredible. And Dr. Edwards would tell me now, you should have came over. I'm like, I felt like that was too high power for me to join.
There's some footage that exists, and it's been slowly rolling out. They filmed it for a reason, of the practice. The Showtime guys got together in Hawaii last year, and they ran a practice, and Magic was running. Riley was running them through the paces, and Magic was running pick and rolls, and Kareem was making sky hooks. And like, that is definitely my childhood. I remember watching those dudes when I was like, 8, 9 years old.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.